Welcome to the Space for Grace podcast, a place where you can come as you are, hear genuine conversations about women's holistic health, and leave educated, inspired, and encouraged about your health and fitness journey. Get ready to find freedom to flourish in your physical, mental, and spiritual health. I'm your host, MK, and I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to the Space for Grace. Welcome back, everyone, to the Space for Grace podcast. Today, I'm so excited to have guest speaker Kelly with us. At Kelly Marie Homeopathy, she provides a holistic approach to healing by combining practical homeopathy, gemmotherapy, I don't know if I'm saying that right, and functional medicine. Kelly's goal is to empower her clients with the knowledge and tools they need to take charge of their health and that of their families. Through personalized care and a deep commitment to restoring balance, she guides individuals on their journey towards optimal wellness. Kelly, I am so excited you're here today.
Yes, I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Of course. So, homeopathy, I feel like, is not very mainstream or very well known about right now. So, if you just want to kind of first explain what that is, what homeopathy is, maybe where it came from.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, a lot of people get confused by what homeopathy means, and people say, well, can I have a homeopathic approach to this? And they think it's essential oils or herbals. So I definitely want to make that very clear to your listeners. So homeopathy is this beautiful holistic approach to healing that really looks at you as a whole person. So it looks at your mind, your body, and your emotions, and not just your symptoms. So it's based on the main principles called like cures like. You may have heard of that before, but it means that a substance that can cause certain symptoms in a healthy person, when it's diluted into the medicine, a homeopathic medicine, it can help heal those that are experiencing this similar symptoms who is not feeling well. So it taps into your body's natural ability to heal itself. So they come mostly in pellets. They can come in creams and liquids, but most often you'll see these in Sprouts or Whole Foods or on Amazon or a variety of homeopathic pharmacies throughout the world. And these are pellets that you twist into the cap, you put them directly into the mouth, you let them dissolve in your mouth. And then you can, after a couple minutes, you can chew them up and swallow them. Homeopathy has been practiced for over 250 plus years, globally, internationally. So a variety of countries in Europe, so Spain, Italy, France, Germany, etc., India, Mexico, and actually the United States. So over 7 million Americans currently use homeopathy as part of their approach to health and well-being. And what's truly amazing about homeopathy is that it is so individualized. So what works for one person might not be what the next person needs, even if they have the same condition. It's all about finding those remedies that resonate with your unique composition, your uniqueness. And it's completely natural, it's safe, it's affordable. So when people get confused about homeopathy, I like to kind of give the visual. I'm a visual learner, so I like the visuals. So if you look at natural medicine as kind of an umbrella and all the different spokes, and we've got acupuncture, we've got chiropractic care, we've got fascia release, we've got lymphatic drainage, we've got massage. Homeopathy is a system of medicine in and of itself. It's one of those spokes. So essential oils is different, herbals are different, supplements are different, etc. So it is a medicine. So the pellets, say in this bottle, this is Arnica montana, which is probably one of the most well-known remedies in the world because it's the number one trauma remedy. So you want to think sprains, strains, bumps, bruises, if you've gone to the gym and worked out. This Arnica is made from the flower, and the medicine is sprayed on the outside of the pellet, and that's where they recommend you dissolving them inside your mouth before you you don't take it like a supplement. You don't put it in your mouth and swallow it like you would, say, a vitamin C tablet.
Okay. And you don't want to touch it, right? You go straight from the cap into your mouth.
Yes, ideally. Now, sometimes you run into situations, say with pets, that you need to touch it and they can lick it out of your hand.
Hmm.
Or maybe you have to put it in your hand and then you have to open up their mouth to kind of gently pop it into their mouth. So ideally, you want to not touch it because you've got oils on your hands, you've got different bacteria on your hands. So ideally, you want to put it in the cap and put it directly into your mouth. And anything that lands on the floor, you just simply discard and then redose again in the cap. And homeopathy is made from natural substances. So, flowers, trees, shrubs, minerals, etc. So it's safe, it's effective, it's natural, it's affordable, and it doesn't counteract any pharmaceuticals that you may be taking. I just like to suggest that you don't put them in the mouth at the same time, but it doesn't counteract, it doesn't have side effects. And so that's the beautiful part of it. It actually is the information to your body. The body then either receives that information and takes it and says, oh, I've got a cold, I know what to do, or it doesn't. And that just means, working with yourself or working with a homeopathic consultant to kind of fine tune and find that remedy that then clicks with your body and resonates. And then the body actually does the healing, which is
Okay. So like heals like. Is this for short-term sickness, like a replacement for Dayquil or some sort of medication like that? Or is it also for chronic illnesses? You mentioned trauma, like mental health. Is it a wide range of different things you can use it for?
Yeah, great question. So anything, it can be used for acute conditions.
Hmm.
So, let's walk through what the difference between acute and chronic is for your listeners. So, an acute condition, you want to think a clock versus a calendar. So, acute's more like a clock, has a natural beginning and a natural end, right? We know the clock is 24 hours. And so you want to think of things that have a natural beginning and natural end, things like colds, fevers, flu, bug bites, food poisoning, headaches, cuts that you may have gotten in the kitchen when you're chopping up an onion, bumps and bruises. So it can handle the acute conditions, but it also can handle chronic conditions. So chronic conditions are more like a calendar. We don't know when it's going to end. You just keep ripping off month after month. We don't know. You could have had this condition for a year or maybe 3 decades. We just don't know when it's going to end. So long-standing symptoms. So issues of the mind, such as anxiety, depression, grief, fears, sadness, issues of the body. So everything from skin issues, acne, psoriasis, eczema, to digestive issues. So chronic constipation, chronic diarrhea, colitis, Crohn's, IBS, to headaches and migraines. Maybe you've had those migraines for a really long time. All type of menstrual issues from, menorrhagia, which is heavy menses, to dysmenorrhea, which is painful menses, things like infertility. It can be safely used in pregnancy, thyroid conditions, so hypothyroid or hyperthyroid, adrenal fatigue, insomnia, sleep problems. So kind of everything in between from chronic and acute conditions.
That's so amazing. How would
Yeah.
you know dosage and maybe when to stop taking something, or if something's not working, how long would you try it until you switch to a different one?
Yeah, great question. So for acute conditions, so those short term, we know when there's going to be a beginning and an end. So what I like to suggest is it's called the 4-dose rule. A lot of homeopaths use that. So you select a remedy, you give it for 4 doses. We always like to follow the instructions on the bottle because each pharmacy is different. Sometimes they say 1 pellet, sometimes they say 5. So follow the instructions on the tube. And if you don't see a shift in your symptoms, and we have to remember the mental symptoms. So, for example, you put your toddler down for a nap, they come down the stairs after their nap, and they're wildly out of control. They're rolling around the floor. You touch their forehead, they have a fever. They woke up with a fever. And they're out of control and they're screaming and they're kicking and they may be biting, hitting, and they're hot. They're just sweating and they're red. Their cheeks are red. You decide on a remedy, you give that remedy, and you want to give that remedy a chance to work in the body. Um, and so you want to give that remedy 4 doses. And so sometimes, depending on the severity of the condition, you could be dosing a little bit more frequently. Say you fell and broke a bone, you are giving it on the way to the hospital pretty much every few minutes because you're in really dire pain. With a fever, you could dose it every 2 to 3 hours. So that 4 doses could take about 24 hours. You don't necessarily want to wake somebody up during the sleep to give the remedy, because when we sleep, our bodies heal. And that is super important. I mean, sleep is so important. And so, you say you give your toddler a remedy that you've chosen. Say it's belladonna, because their cheeks are red to the touch. And when you touch the cheeks and you pull your hand away, your hand is radiating the heat. And they're just, kind of delirious. And so you give a dose. Maybe you wait an hour and you give another dose, and then you get sidetracked. Maybe the phone rings, somebody's at the door, you have to go fold laundry, and you come back. Maybe your toddler's asleep. That's a beautiful sign, because the body's like, I'm shutting down, I'm putting you to sleep because I need to heal. Right. Or you notice that they're now sitting on the floor playing with a puzzle. And so that mental shift has started, and that means you're on the right track. Now, maybe the fever has not shifted, but you see a shift in their mental temperament, that they're more calm. They're not biting, they're not screaming at you. And so you're then on the right track. And so that's kind of an acute scenario, that 4-dose rule. Okay. Chronics are a little bit different. And you can certainly try tackling the chronic conditions on your own, but I really suggest working with a homeopathic consultant, because they take your case. And usually, my intakes are about 75 to 90 minutes. And we sit down and we talk about you and your life story. We go through kind of your past medications, hospitalizations, vaccinations, or allergies, what you're allergic to. And then we actually walk head to toe from your scalp to your toes, and we go through all the systems of the body and any symptoms that you have had in the past or currently are having. And then we actually walk through your timeline. So we go actually back preconception. What was it like for your parents to conceive you? Was there a lot of fear? Was there a lot of anger? Was there medical interventions because they couldn't get pregnant? What kind of drugs did your mom take prior to conceiving you? And then we walk through what your birth was like. Was it traumatic? Was it shocking? Were you, given Pitocin to come out early? Were you late? All of that trauma. And then, non-medical events every 5 to 7 years that happened in your life. So maybe you were bullied in middle school and you just haven't gotten over that humiliation. Maybe you lost your grandfather in your 20s and you were super close with him and he was like a second dad. Maybe it was you were belittled in front of your colleagues at work by your boss. Or maybe, another question I do ask my clients is, how do you handle your anger? When you get mad, when you get pissed off, what do you do? Do you swallow it? Do you walk away? Or do you discuss it? Do you shove it under the rug? And that's a really telling thing, because many of us, I would say 85 to 90% of my clients' symptoms stem from mental, emotional things that they have suppressed over the years, that they haven't gotten up and out of the body. So for example, if a woman has a heavy cycle and I say to them, what does fear mean to you? And they look at me kind of deer in the headlights. How did you know that? I've been fearful all my life. Well, it's because the body, you've been suppressing the fear, holding it in, holding it together. But the body's like, I can't hold on to this anymore. I can't. It's been 3 decades. I'm going to dump. I'm going to flood, or I'm going to give you UTIs. That connection between the emotions and the different systems of the body is so crucial. And so for chronic conditions, I really suggest, because it does take someone that has the certifications, has the knowledge to kind of walk you through your whole case.
For sure. That's amazing. All that you can do with, and how thorough you are with their health history, the emotional side of things. I love the holistic approach, because everything truly is so connected, our mind, our body, our emotions. I'm curious, after you have that initial consult, do you kind of give your client a protocol to follow, and what all does that include?
Yeah, so great question. So I use a multi-layered approach. So my system of consultations is a little bit different than some other homeopaths that are out there. So I look at it as multi-layered. We need, because we live in Western society, we need many tools in kind of our tool belt because we're so toxic, right? We've got foods here that are illegal in Europe. They don't have the food dyes over there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of clients say, well, I can't eat wheat here in America, but I can eat wheat in Europe, no problem.
Right.
So I need to use a multi-layered approach. So we look at the foundation is the homeopathy, and then we build and add things as needed. And so I look at it from a functional medicine lens too, because my clients can't go to McDonald's 3 times a day, 7 days a week, and then expect the remedies to help their body heal. So we look at diet, lifestyle, stress. What's your sleep like? So many of us are chronically walking around sleep deprived, and we need sleep. Our body needs it to heal. It needs to shut down and get to the business of healing internally, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I answered the rest of your question.
Yeah.
So the protocols. So after the intake is the most comprehensive. It's pretty detailed, 75 to 90 minutes. At the
Mm-hmm.
end, I take notes. So it's just you kind of sharing your life story with me. And it's in a safe space. It's all over Zoom. So it makes it super convenient. Then I send you a summary. I write notes and I send you a summary, and then I give you the different remedies. Now, some of them may be taken just in the morning. Some may just be
Mm-hmm.
taken on the weekends. Some may be taken right before bedtime. So I list that all out in a nice table. And then after about 7, 8 weeks, we meet again and we sit down and I say, I like to start off with any celebrations, any shifts that you've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And so people say, well, wow, I wake up more refreshed. I'm sleeping better. I feel more calm. Or I had a client say, I was able to communicate with my daughter and she noticed. She said, Mom, you've always gotten so angry with me during our conversations. And I was actually able to share what I was feeling. You listened
Mm-hmm.
and you didn't come back with an angry response.
Oh.
For example, constipation. Their stools are now regular. They were going every 2 to 3 days. Now they're going 2 to 3 times a day. So physical symptoms, mental symptoms, we like to celebrate those shifts.
Mm-hmm.
For any kind of hair, skin, and nail issues, I do like pictures because I pull them up on my screen and say, okay, let's look at your acne. Let's look at your psoriasis. Let's look at your thinning hair to see if there's a difference, because I can't tell you how many times I sit across from my clients and they say, I can't believe I said that 7 weeks ago. I can't believe I was in that much pain. It's
Mm-hmm.
gone. It can happen that fast, or it may take a number of months. It really depends on what condition we're kind of tackling and how long you've had that condition. Maybe you've had heavy
Right.
menses now for 3 decades. Well, that's going to take some time. And plus, women only have a cycle once every 30 days. So we're going to have to go through a number of cycles to see if there's any shift. Are you bleeding less? Do you have less pain? Do you have less clots? All of that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. That's so amazing. Do
Yeah.
you have a specific client success story that you'd want to share?
Yeah, there's a lot, but there's one special one that just kind of, has been so memorable, and I actually wrote a blog on it. The human body never ceases to amaze me in its healing capabilities. It's truly amazing. And so these pellets are not doing the work, it's the body doing the work.
Mm.
Um, so I'm just the facilitator, and the remedy is that communication to the body to kind of finish the work. So have you ever heard of The Boy in the Bubble? I
I
don't know if
don't
you.
think so. No.
So it's a movie from the 70s, and it was inspired by a true story. And so this boy was so sick that he had to live in a plastic environment. He could not leave the house. He could not go to school. And the movie was called A Boy in the Bubble. And so I wrote a blog about it because I had a young boy, age 7. His parents came to me, and he was a sickly kid. He was so ill all the time. He literally caught something almost every 2 to 3 weeks. Whatever was going
Mm.
around the classroom, he caught, whether it was the flu, whether it was colds, whether it was fevers, and coughs. He missed so much school, countless days of school. He wasn't able to go outside and ride bikes and toss football or do anything that the normal kids do at age 7 in the neighborhood. And so After taking his case, we decided actually just to use one remedy. It's typically not my usual clients. Normally, I use kind of a multi-layered approach and a few different remedies, but for this one, I just wanted to target his immune system because it was so weak.
Hmm.
So after a month, the parents returned and their eyes kind of filled with tears because they said, our son's immune system is much more robust and he's not missing school. He's able to ride bikes with his friends outside with the neighborhood kids. He can toss football, and he hasn't been sick. And so we continued that same remedy. And then a couple months later, they continued to share their progress with me. And even his pediatrician noticed that he was not coming in as often. He wasn't as
Wow.
sick for sick visits. And so we continued that same remedy because we were entering kind of the winter season. And so we wanted to make sure that his immune system really was fortified and robust. And that little boy continued to gain his vitality back. And so at the time, the mom was pregnant with her third child. It was a girl this time. And they both came to me and wanted to ask me a question. And because of how much I helped their little boy and their family, they wanted to name their baby girl after me. And
Wow.
so
Oh my
obviously I
goodness.
was super humble and honored and exclaimed my enthusiasm at the request. And so now this little girl, she's probably, in elementary school now, is named after me because of how I helped their middle son. So
Wow,
pretty
that's
special.
so inspiring. I
Yeah.
love
And
that story. Thanks for sharing
yeah,
that.
yeah. And if you want to read more, there's a blog that I've
Mhm.
written called A Boy in the Bubble, and you
Okay,
can find out the remedy I used, etc. So yeah, it's pretty special.
perfect. Yeah, I can link that blog post in the description for anyone who
Yeah,
wants to go check that
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Amazing. Well, Kelly, is there anything else that you want to share to wrap up today?
Yeah, I just think, give homeopathy a try, There's a lot of different things you can pick up at Sprouts, as we're entering into this cold and flu season, go and there's lots of good combination remedies out there. Throat Calm, is great for sore throats. Boron, this is the company Boron. They make a lot of combinations. Cold
Okay.
Calm is another one to have. Oscillococcinum, that long O word. You can get it at Walmart. You can get it at Sprouts or Amazon. That's great for the flu.
Okay.
There's so many homeopathic combinations. If you don't know where to start, it's a great place. And the great thing about combos too is that they're easy. You can toss into a backpack, into a travel bag, into a briefcase if you have to. And
Hmm.
if you find that those combinations are helping, dig a little deeper because maybe one or two of those remedies within that combo tackled your symptoms.
Yeah,
So,
that's a
yeah,
great tip.
yeah.
I
Combos are
love that.
great to start and just learn. There's so many blogs out there. There's so many books, intro books that you can pick up
Hmm.
um, and read about. And just, I always say because homeopathy can work with all ages, infants to elderly, men, women, boys, girls, even your pets. So if you have a cat or a dog and they've got an issue, great, perfect. It's a perfect opportunity to use homeopathy. It can even work on your
Hmm.
plants. My
Oh, wow.
roses outside were being eaten by something, and I was able to come up with a set of remedies, put it in a spray bottle, and I sprayed all over the roses. And now they're vibrant, and the leaves are not being eaten
Mm.
up and whatnot. So it's great for all aspects of your life. You can kind of weave it in. And once you start learning it, you just are hungry for more. And you'll be like watching a movie or talking to a friend or see someone that you haven't seen in a long time and they explain, oh my gosh, I've had this canker sore for this long or whatnot. And you say, have you heard of homeopathy? Do you want to try something? I can text you what you could try. So there's
Right.
so many opportunities to use it, and it's safe, it's effective, it's natural, there's no side effects. You're not going to get addicted to it. And it's inexpensive. This costs about $10 or less than that on Amazon or
Wow.
Walmart or Sprouts.
So cool. You've given me so many good ideas already, so I'm excited to dig more into it and read and learn. And I do have a cat, and I
Yes.
feel like sometimes he might have asthma. We're not sure. So I'm definitely going to be looking into some homeopathy for him.
Yeah, exactly. And the best way to do it is go to your search engine, whichever you use, and you type in homeopathy and asthma,
Mm,
homeopathy, asthma, cats, and see what pulls up. There's a ton of homeopathic veterinarians out there that write free things or have books that you can invest in. And so it's an exciting way. I mean, this is the medicine we thought we were getting,
mm,
and it's been around since the 17 1800s. It was the primary source of medicine in the US. We had homeopathic hospitals where you could go and be treated by a homeopathic physician and get homeopathic remedies, etc. There were homeopathic schools and pharmacies. But then in the 1920s, etc., the American Medical Association came along and thought, well, we can't patent a flower, we can't patent
mm.
a shrub. And, the case taking, there is some involvement there. It's not, a quick 10-minute, okay, here you are, here's your prescription. So it does take some time,
Right.
but it's coming back. There's a resurgence. People want something different. They're tired of the side effects that are out
Mm,
there, and they
definitely.
want something different.
I agree. I see more and more people moving away from the traditional medical model and back to the more natural, preventative, holistic approach. So I love that. I'm super excited that people are starting to wake up and realize what's going on in some of these issues. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
And
that's
then what
just
the
so
other
exciting.
beautiful thing is that homeopathy doesn't suppress. So if
Mm,
we say get an allergic rash and we put on something topically, a steroid or something, it just suppresses that symptom. Sure, it can make it look like it's gone away, but you're driving it deeper in the body, and then it comes out later as steroid or asthma. And then if you use an
mhm.
inhaler, you're suppressing that asthma. Then in your 20s, you've got anxiety. So
Right.
it doesn't suppress, it actually gets it up and out of the body, which is a beautiful thing. It uproots the condition.
I
So,
love that. So
mhm,
cool what our bodies are created to be able to do
exactly.
when we let them do their thing and just give it a
Right.
little support.
Right. Right.
So cool. Well, Kelly, thank you so, so much for sharing all your wonderful knowledge. I will be sure to put links for everyone to be able to find you and have that consultation with you in the description. So I am super excited to continue to learn about homeopathy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure, and I love, speaking about it. So I'd love to come back. And, on my website, if you're unsure, I offer a free discovery call. I learn about what you're seeking help with, and then I share a little bit more about how I work. And then we decide if it's a fit to move forward.
Perfect. I
Yeah.
love that. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here.
All right. Take care. Thanks.
You too. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Space for Grace podcast. Be sure to check out the description for any links or resources that were mentioned during this episode. And if you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe, share with a friend, and leave a review. I hope you're leaving today educated, inspired, and ready to flourish. This is Space for Grace.